facilities or get something to eat, that's fine. The other thing we're going to do is when we come back, it'll be the audience turn to ask questions of the candidates. I expect, of course, that it's going to be in compliance with the position that the individual's running for, and only that. As far as candidates asking questions, no. They're here for you, okay? So, without further ado, the first person we need to get up here would be John Browning.
Are we going to say a prayer?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that completely. Yes, Gary, would you offer an opening prayer?
Would you pray with me, please? Lord, we thank you for opportunities like this to get together as a community, to get together as voters and exercise our rights that we have in this great country. I thank you for those privileges, Lord. I thank you for our community and the strong bonds that we have here in tying each other together. I pray for the candidates. I pray for the audience. I pray for our community, and I pray for this great state and this wonderful country. You have blessed us richly, O Lord, and help us to be worthy servants of your keeping. Bless us now in this evening as we enter this time of questions and answers. Help us to be prepared with the questions that we have on our minds, and give the candidates wisdom that as they prepare their answers. Help us always to glorify you and honor you, dear Lord. We pray in the sweet name of Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John, the timekeeper will be sitting right in the front, and he'll give you a warning when you get your 1 minute, and then hold up the stop sign.
All right, well, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to introduce myself. Many of you I know, and many of you I'm thankful for your friendship. Who is John Browning? John Browning is a father, a widower, a rancher, a farmer, a seedsman, a Christian, a lifelong member of the Gideons and the Gideon ministry, a board member of the National Sorghum Producers Board, a board member of the Covenant Foundation Hospital Board, a daily Bible reader, endorsed by Texas Right for Life, Texans for Strong Borders, and many others. I am so thankful for this opportunity to run for House District 88. It has not come without cost. I really didn't know that it was going to get this bad. But my opponent, God bless him, he has just decided to dig out as many things as he can, and so for those reasons, I just want to say tonight, if you see nothing else but my heart, vote the heart. I started my campaign with Proverbs 23:23. Buy the truth and do not sell it. Gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Many times we find things on flyers or commercials that come through and they're selling a lie. And so I just ask that you look at that with a discerning eye. Look at who paid for it. My opponent has a defense pack, Texas Defense Pack, that is funding a lot of his flyers. Las Vegas Sands Casino has donated $9.1 million to that defense pack. And so, for those reasons, look at the flyers, look at the information, and so that you can figure out whether you want to believe what's being said or not. I've been a lifelong resident of Hale County. I've been a lifelong, grew up, went through the school system here in the Plainview High School system, attended Texas Tech, graduate of South Plains College, and attended LCU. So I have a good background of the area and the economy and what's happening. I'm going to take very, very conservative positions. But one person asked me the other day, John, how are you going to legislate? What's your philosophy going to be? There's 10,000 decisions that's going to be needed to be made in Austin. And I'm going to inquire of the Lord for each of those decisions. And with a biblical background, there's going to be 10,000 decisions that aren't in the Bible. But we can use that as a indicator of how we look at the legislation that's before us and how we go about that. I'm going to look at our legislation in 3 tiers. I think this is the scope of Texas government. Number 1, we need safety. Police, fire, Railroad Commission, TECQ, strong borders. Number 2, we need infrastructure. Aqueducts. We need to bring water to Texas. I'm going to be a big proponent of clean it and bring it. Cleaning up oil field water and bringing water from new sources outside the state. Roads, bridges, highways, and those types of infrastructure. And finally, we have a constitutional mandate in Texas to educate our children. And so for those reasons, I'm going to be a big proponent of that. Teacher pay is part of that. Currently, we have some incentive pay in the legislature. That has cost small school districts money. They got some teacher pay increases, but they had to draw some out. For instance, Memphis ISD lost $500,000 out of their school district because of that legislation. Quanah, $600,000. So we're going to have to be very careful about how we legislate. Local control back to our local government. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I hope to earn your vote. I look forward to your questions. Q&A now or later? Wayne? Okay.
Judy Kelly? Christine is not here. Anna's not here. Justin Cantwell. Justin is our current land surveyor for the county.
So this feels a little weird because I'm unopposed, but I serve as one of the very few political offices within the county that requires licensing in order to qualify for that position. That position was held for a very, very long time by my predecessor that is no longer with us. But I was elected back in 2022 as the county surveyor. My primary role is to maintain the county survey records, to aid the county in subdivision regulations and flood zone permitting and things of that nature. Hope to keep doing a good job. So, and I am one of the very few offices that are not on county payroll. I have no county benefits besides a office space.
Jerry Bright. Jerry Bright is running for Commissioner of Precinct 2.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jerry Bright, and I'm running for Precinct 2 Commissioner. I'm currently the Commissioner 4th Precinct 2, and I'm running unopposed also. But I wanted to come tonight and kind of meet everybody and see what's going on. I was born and raised Petersburg, raised my family in Petersburg, and I'm a big fan of our precinct, which includes Petersburg, but also a big fan of Hale County. And I'm learning all the time, and I'd encourage anybody that has any questions through my time as commissioner to give me a call on anything. A little history about myself. I was, like I said, born and raised in Petersburg. My wife and I got married real quick out of high school, and I've got 3 great kids and 8 grandkids, and that will keep you busy all the time. But anyway, I got out of when I went to work in Lubbock. I worked for a truck parts company over there. Then I went and back to Petersburg and started managing Wiley LP Gas, and owner's son and I ended up buying it, and we've him and I are still partners on some projects, other projects, but I've been in the business world of this region, and I kind of understand a lot of the issues that people have. But anyway, I'm glad to be here, and I'll be talking to y'all later.
Okay, next we have the county commissioners for Precinct 3, Precinct 4. In order of ballot draw, Benny Cantwell will be first, and then Vicki Milner.
I'm Benny Cantwell. I'm the current county commissioner in Precinct 4. Glad to see all of you out tonight. I've been in office. I was in office 24 years. Was beat in the primary 4 years ago by 88 votes. About 2 months after that, my phone was constantly ringing. They said, "This is not working. This is not what we intended." And they kept asking me and asking me, and at that time, I was pretty much done with politics. After 24 years, I thought, well, that's enough. I think it's time for me to move on and do something else. Well, it just kept on, my phone ringing, and my wife was like, "No, you don't need to run." And it just kept on, and I got down to time to file, and she asked me one day, she said, "Are you going to run?" And I said, "What do you want me to do?" And she looked at me and she said, "I want you to run." I said, "Okay, I'm going to run." So I did. I beat the gentleman that beat me the time before. I beat him back out and got back into office. So I've been in office another 4 years, soon 4 years. So I've been in office 28 years. I'm married to my wife. Next month on the 7th, we'll be married 46 years. Let me tell you, she's put up with a lot. So she's a pretty good woman, and I think I'm going to hang on to her for a while longer. I've got 2 kids. You've met my son. I'm very proud of him. Actually, he started working with Carl Joe back when he was in high school. He fell in love with survey work, and he continued that. It was quite a challenge back then to get your surveyor's license, but he succeeded at it, and I'm proud of him. I have a daughter who lives in Leveland. She's married. She works at Covenant Hospital. I have 4 grandchildren from the age of 22 to the age of 9. So I'm very lucky in a way that they're spread out because I get to go to a lot of sports things. But I do a lot. I feel like I do a lot for the county. I take on a lot of jobs that some people don't want to do. We hired a maintenance man. I'm in charge of supervising that maintenance person. All maintenance issues come to me, and then I get with him and we try to decide what we're going to do to resolve the issue. And that could be a stopped up drain. Like today we found out that we've got 3 air conditioners that are fixing to go kaput at the adult probation, so we're in the process of seeking proposals to change those. I was put in charge of supervising the Ollie Liner Center with Brother Benny Garcia. He oversees it, but they asked me to supervise him. I don't really know why. He pretty well can run that center by himself, but sometimes issues do arise, and sometimes he needs some time off, so I have filled in for him from time to time. You know, there's lots of things the county commissioner has to do from day to day, and sometimes you don't think about those things. You know, that ice and snow we got, on Sunday morning I got up and I went to work. I was running a snow plow in the truck, and I had one guy couldn't get here. He lived at Crest, and somebody had plowed their road and had snow packed up about 4 foot in his driveway. He couldn't get out of the driveway. I had another guy lives here in town. His wife and 2 kids was sick, so he couldn't come. So I had 2 guys show up. We worked all day long. We worked Monday. You know, people expect it, and they need to see us out there working. You know, I enjoy my job. I love it. My wife says, I can't understand why you love it. I'm driven in a way, because it's something that keeps me occupied. I love solving problems. I love going to work. I love meeting people. I love everything that I do on a day-to-day basis. I hope that you'll vote for me. You know, it's an exciting time in our country, I think. I'm kind of like John, though. There's a lot of misconception. These PACs are getting involved, and it's creating a lot of problems. That's one of the worst things I think we ever did, was allow PACs to be established. But I thank you for your time. Look forward to the questions, and appreciate you being here.
All right, Vicki? Vicki's also running for Commissioner of Precinct 4.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. My name is Vicki Falkenberg Milner. I grew up and graduated from Plainview. I grew up in Crest and graduated in Plainview from 1986. I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for over 22 years. I returned home to Plainview in 2009. Since then, I have actually been involved with the farming and ranching community. I have seen firsthand how the lack of water is changing agriculture in Hale County. As more land transitions back into ranching, it will impact our county's tax base and long-term future. These are serious challenges that require thoughtful, steady leadership. In March of 22, I was appointed to County Commissioner for Precinct 3 and served through December of 2024. And it was an honor to represent the hardworking families, farmers, ranchers, and landowners of our county. During our service, I worked to install AEDs, automatic external defibrillators, in all county buildings, secured a generator for the Ollie Liner Center, our refuge during emergencies, updated equipment for the sheriff's office, improved drainage in Playa Lake areas. I spearheaded the adoption of game room ordinances. Hale County did not have any game room rules in place at the time. We caught wind that a game room was coming to Precinct 3. On Super Bowl Sunday in 2024, my foreman, who lived in Hale Center, spent his Sunday on a motor grader maintaining a clear path so that the emergency crews could respond if needed. I remained accessible and responsive to the people I serve. I believe leadership should be responsive and focus on the future of Hale County. My opponent has served for 28 years in elected office. While experience is valuable, I believe leadership also presents a fresh perspective and accountability. When positions are intended to have limits, these limits should be respected. Public service is a privilege, not a lifetime or a long-term career. Thank you for your time, and I would be grateful for your vote.
Okay, for those who don't know me, my name is Wayne Post. I am the Hale County Republican Chair, and I'm on the ballot to run again. One of the reasons I took this position originally was because my wife had decided to run for state representative for District 88. But the people that were involved with resurrecting the Hale County Republican Party, I did not want to see all their hard work go to waste. So I picked up with the thought process that we were going to try to build and keep maintaining this thing, but with one concept in mind at all times. Not only to inform the public and keep them abreast, but to keep God back in this thing. And so, excuse me, so that's how I look at it. And I'm blessed to have five precinct chairs who are all basically in the same agreement with us. So our mission statement is to keep moving things forward, to be able to inform people and keep them abreast and knowledge of everything that's going on. But keeping God in that concept at the same time. So anyway, with any kind of luck, if my wife votes for me, then I will have won by a landslide. Anyway. So let's take about 10, 15 minutes. Folks in the audience, think about what's said. Think about the questions you want to ask. Let's make this meaningful. This is for you. Okay? So go about your business right now. Yes. Say? Yeah, I was informed earlier. The pizza finally made it. It's in the kitchen. All right, folks. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can come back and sit down, and we'll get the other half of this out of the way. I hope you all have had time to think about your questions and whatever. Here's how this is going to work. A question will come from the audience to a candidate of their choice. That candidate will go up and answer the question. We'll have 5 minutes, if needed, to do that. There may be other questions which are general in nature to anyone that wants to answer it, okay? So that's how it works. If that's the case, again, anyone that wants to come up will get 5 minutes to answer the question, and we'll keep going that way till it's exhausted, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right? Is that clear? All right.
7 minutes to answer each question.
5. Don't push it. All right. Shall we begin? Who has a question?
Okay, I got a lot of questions, but there's just two main questions on my mind. First off, is I want to know what we can do, what's going to be done to stop the Muslim invasion of our country. I don't see it as a religion, I see it as a political force. I believe that, I'm just speaking my mind. Okay, so I believe they're bred to go to war, and they've been used as an army everywhere they go, and they destroy every country they go to, and they don't get along with or assimilate with any religion. Whereas all the other religions will come here and they'll assimilate, but the Muslims don't. They've got to be removed. So we got to figure out a way to, even those that are here as citizens, to either, they got to denounce Sharia law, or they've got to have their citizenship revoked. Okay, that's my first thing. The next thing is I want to know, what are we going to do to get them to stop spraying the white chemtrails above us? I walk out in the morning, you go out in the morning, it's a beautiful morning, it's blue sky, and you're looking up, wow, it's beautiful. And next thing you know, you see some planes going over here and over here, and next thing there's big X's. And by 10:30, 11 o'clock, you're out there, and it's like you're in the shade. And I'm getting sick and tired of it. I want to see blue skies. So those are my two main concerns. When you go to wherever you're going to go when you're elected, try to do whatever you can to address those two issues. That's all I got to say. Okay.
Do any one of the candidates want to answer that? No? Okay, so we'll live with the chemtrails and we'll live. All right, next question.
They're chemicals. They're called stratospheric aerosol injection. And you can go to NASA's website and they talk about it. They don't hide it. Contrails, condensation coming out, and that disappears within 30 to 40 seconds after you blame the river.
What are the rules here? Do I have to stand up in front, or can I ask my question from here? Mr. Browning, I'd like to ask you a question. First of all, your opponent has special interest money from casinos, real estate, and what's the other one? It'll come to me. Nevertheless, he has ironically identified you as the insider, and he's presented a TV ad in which he shows a grainy photograph of you standing with somebody else who I don't recognize. Can you tell me who that individual is and why he would represent some kind of special interest? And then also tell me about any backing you have from other special interests.
Okay, so first of all, I think the person you're referring to is Representative Tony Tinderholt, who is one of the most conservative representatives in the state House. He proposed the amendment that Ken voted against for the transgender hospitals. And that's why he is so upset. If it's the Lord's will, Representative Tenderholt will be here Tuesday at the Fair Theater in the evening. You're all invited. I don't have a time and I don't have a place, but they are flying in. Representative Tenderholt is very disappointed that he has been called a liar about that. So the people that are sending flyers in my behalf have been Texans to Protect Children. That was a PAC that was founded by the whistleblower in Houston for the hospital that was transitioning children. They have supported me and backed me. Also, Texans for the Financial Responsibility have backed me and sent flyers in my behalf. And Texans for Strong Borders have sent flyers in my behalf. Most all the rest of them, there's a couple of more that I'm not familiar with. But all of those I have filled out questionnaires, and they found favor with me to support the campaign and send flyers in my behalf. So the dark money that's out there, I've had a couple of large donors that have sent money to my campaign, both of which I have asked, what do I owe you? And they said, we want you to be a conservative. They didn't ask for anything. Representative Tenderholt contacted me last week, and he said, the people that are backing you, that are sending you money, sent me money. In 6 years of legislative service to our state, they never once asked me to vote a specific way. He said, that's the kind of money you want in your campaign.
I forgot to mention the third special interest backing Representative King is the Texas Trial Lawyers Association.
Right. Thank you for that. One last thing about that. Look at Transparency USA. They tell you who's donating to those PACs. Texas Defense PAC is Sands Casino. They've donated $9.1 million. They just dropped $246,000 for TV ads for Ken King in the Lubbock and Amarillo market yesterday. So these types of things are happening. Look at his donor list. Life science people, which is not a pro-life situation, THC people, things of that nature. And so we have a situation here where it's good versus evil. And so I ask you to look at the heart. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Mr. Browning, I have received, as everyone in this room has, an exorbitant number of flyers in the mail from you, from every candidate that's running. We are probably averaging 5 a day from you. How, and I know you say that these groups are sending them out on your behalf. How do you support a flyer that on one side slams your opponent and the other side talks about your Christian beliefs? To me, that seems hypocritical.
Thank you for that question. So, from the very beginning when I met with Representative King, I told him we were going to have a discussion about his voting record. On the flyers that come from my campaign, we reference every House bill and every Senate bill that he voted against. Or, in some situations, others have called him out on. We reference every situation on our flyers. We've got to buy the truth and not sell it. At some point, we've got to quit deceiving ourselves about how our representatives are voting for the rules in Texas. It is important that we also acknowledge that there were several DEI bills that Representative King held up in the State Affairs Committee, several pro-family bills that he held up, and they died. They died in committee. We have a conservative majority where we can advance our conservative, pro-family, pro-life, low-tax initiatives, and Representative King is allowing those to die while promoting things that we don't need. And so, for those reasons, I ask you to look at his voting record. I have 107 bills, a list of them, that he killed. I've got several copies. If anybody's interested in looking at them, it references all the House bills, all the Senate bills that he killed in committee.
Any other questions? Okay.
I'm Cindy Ebley. I have a question for Benny Cantwell. Hi, Benny. Yeah. So I appreciate the work you've done for us for 28 years. I'm in your county. Several of us have lived out there for many years. I know it's not an easy thing to be a commissioner because you get a lot of cauliflower ear. I understand that. You get a lot of people griping at you. I understand that. However, I don't feel it should be a career. I think we as constituents of a county, of a state, should share in the responsibility across what we do. I think sometimes when we get in a career, we get lax because there's no opponents. And sometimes we don't see things when we don't have opponents. You had an opponent in Jimmy. I understand that. And Jimmy beat you the first time. You beat him the second time. You have a wonderful mind for history of the county and the people in the county, and I appreciate that. A couple of things I do have concerns with. One is there's a few roads out there that are leading to certain businesses that are much better maintained and lots more money has been spent on than other roads. We're all the same constituency. We all have the same value. We should, but we don't apparently. My question is, why are certain roads maintained better than others, and why are certain funds, larger funds, spent on certain roads out there or topped and others are not, when people still live on those roads? That's one of the questions. One of the questions I have is, we own land on a lot of county roads, and repeatedly we've got to ask the county employees to please not grate on the back slopes because you're taking our land. And you're ruining our expensive fences that we've put in that cost a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort. And that bothers me as a landowner and as having fences. Fences are good neighbors a lot of times. Sometimes they're not. But as a taxpayer in the county that's going to be there for a long time probably, hopefully that's the plan, we need to keep those borders where they need to be. Okay? We also need to have bar ditches and culverts that are cleaned so that when it does rain, when it's seldom around here, but when it does rain or it does snow, we need to be able to have the water that goes through the bar ditches instead of over the culverts, because the bar ditches and the culverts are clogged. I know there's a lot of roads and a lot of miles and a lot of culverts and a lot of driveways and turn roads that come across these county roads, but it does make a difference. So for those of us that drive it. And I really think that I know that commissioners work not just for your precinct, but you work for the counties as a whole. And you're on the commissioner's court, which is the county judge, is my understanding, and the commissioners. And you deal with county employees. And one of the issues that I have been aware of the last year or so has been about, or past more than just a year, is the county employee insurance. And should it go for retirement for their lifetime? I, as a taxpayer, I've worked for corporations. They don't pay my retirement. They don't pay my insurance. I invest the money that I made from those businesses. I invest the money that we make from our personal business, and I manage it. We have to manage it individually. As a taxpayer, I don't think that I'm responsible for every county employee that we have had for the last 100 years, nor for the next 100 years, to always pay their insurance or all of their retirement, because there's not that much money out there. Do you have anything on that at all, Benny? You're a great guy, I understand that. But I just have some concerns that I've been in this community almost 40 years now. I didn't grow up here. I'm not a native. I married a native. So sometimes I'm looked at as an outsider. And I'm also a female instead of a male. And so in a good old boys system, I get a lot of looks. But I still have eyes and ears and a brain, and I still observe, and I'm just curious.
First off, that's a lot of questions. No way you can answer all of them in 5 minutes. I have the second largest precinct in the county. We have approximately 350 miles of road. I know what Miss Eblin's talking about. I've got some farmers that don't want their back slope pulled because they got a nice fence. They're expensive. I've got some that want them pulled. I've got land changing hands like you would not believe. And sometimes we don't know who's bought what farm until we've already done work there. I've got farmers filling bar ditches and not notifying us, and then we get a big rain and here we got a washed out road, and we didn't realize the bar ditch had been filled in or a culvert had been filled over. You know, we're limited on manpower and equipment, but you figure 350 miles, that's one way. There's 2 lanes. If you figure that 2 lanes, you can double that. That's more than a lot of city streets. You know, I've got some county commissioners, and some areas don't have but like 10 or 12 miles of road. So it's a whole lot easier to maintain. We try to do the best we can. We can't be everywhere all the time. We have module trucks, grain trucks running over the end of culverts, mashing them flat. It takes time to get around and try to fix those. Some of them can't be repaired. I've got culverts been in the ground for probably 50 to 80 years, and they're beginning to rust out. The culverts we get nowadays are nothing like what those were. I mean, they're paper thin and very little galvanized coating on them. I've put some in 8, 9 years ago, and they're already rusting through. Those things are about $35, $40 a running foot. I just soon not have culverts because they create a whole lot more problems than they ever solve. Retirement. That retirement system was established back in the 60s. Nearly all counties are a part of the retirement system. Each employee is required to pay 7.5% out of their paycheck into that retirement fund. The county matches that, and when they do retire, they have the option of either drawing their money or drawing a monthly check. If they draw their money, the county portion stays in the fund. It does not go anywhere, and that's redistributed through it. If you remember Charles II, when he was sheriff, when he retired, he withdrew all of his money. He left over $200,000 laying on the table. That's what keeps our retirement fund solvent. Right now, we've got like 88 and 89% solvency in that fund. And there's people retiring and drawing checks every day. But it's not depleting, it's staying the same because a lot of people draw that money and they don't get the county's portion. They leave it in there. By state law, they were required to pay 7% interest on that money. Whether they make it or not, they have to pay us 7%. Insurance, it depends on what insurance you're talking about. I know she said health insurance. We've got insurance for employees. We've got insurance for retirees. Which insurance are you wanting to talk about? You have to be a little bit more specific because I can be real general on it or I can be real specific. And that's, you know, it takes a lot of time to explain it, and you can't explain it in 5 minutes, I can guarantee you. But I hope that that answers most of the questions I can think of. I may have left one or two out, but I'm sorry if I did. Thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions? Right over here and right back there. Okay, we'll go here first.
I have a question for Ms. Milner. You claim to be a resident of Precinct 4 for 3.5 years. Based on your past county experience of running in 22 and 24, were you in fact a resident of Precinct 3 or in fact a resident of Precinct 4?
Actually, I was both. I'm a landowner. I have property in the city and I have property in the county. And I don't have to have a homestead in either one to be able to run per Secretary of State.
All right, back here. Oh, by the way, regarding that last question, I got involved with in the middle of this because I'm the county sheriff. The Secretary of State did say, one, Texas does not have a primary residence law because it upholds landowner rights, okay? The other aspect that they did tell me is if there is another problem with that between the two individuals, that they should take it to the district court. So, just to answer the question.
So I have asthma tonight. I'm going to try to get through this. But for Benny Cantwell, because I was involved in the commissioner's discussions of the retirees' health insurance, when they'd been there, I think it was 30 years or something, I don't recall, they got free health insurance for life. So I did an analysis on that where I took, and because I haven't looked at it in a while, I took about 20 employees, and I assumed they might live 20 years, and I escalated health insurance premiums for that time, and I came up that it was going to cost the county somewhere around $2 million to fund those employees with health insurance. And this comes at a time when companies such as the one I worked for, Excel Energy, stopped paying retiree insurance because they said it wasn't feasible. They would go broke doing it because of the cost. So I don't understand, Benny, why you guys, I never got a clear answer why y'all thought it would be a good idea to burden the taxpayers with such a huge debt.
What you're talking about is established in 21, is in the four years that I was out of office. I don't know what was told to Commissioner's Court. Vicky was not on court at that time either, so we really don't know what was presented to them. The way the retiree insurance works is if you're 65 and over, or say 65 or over, you've worked for the county for 30 years. The county will provide a supplement because most of those are already on Medicare. And it's basically a supplement. It is not a full insurance. That's all it is a supplement. We have 2 employees that are on that, and that's since 21. Now, it starts at, I remember now, if you've been there 28 years, you can get on the county's insurance, which is separate from all the other employees, and you pay 75% of the cost. If you've been there 28 years, it's like 50% of the cost. In 29 years, it's 75% of the cost. It's a separate insurance policy that was established, and it's through Texas Association of Counties. It does not have anything to do with our medical insurance for each employee.
For the retirees, and did you guys even go out to other insurance companies to determine if TAC was the cheapest source of this retirement insurance?
Well, I'll tell you this, we've looked at in years past, our employee insurance, we're self-funded. We pay $40,000 of any claim that's presented. We have no further obligation after that. We have a stopgap policy that pays all the rest of it. If you have a $150,000 bill, we pay $40,000, and Blue Cross, we're with Blue Cross, and if you've ever dealt with Blue Cross, they're pretty bulldoggy. I'll give you an example. I had knee surgery done. The hospital charged me $132,000 for that knee, one knee. Blue Cross Blue Shield knocked that bill down to $42,000. And we work through TAC because most counties work through TAC. If you go out in the open market, you're going to pay 3 times. We pay $545 for insurance per employee right now. I'm talking hourly employees.
I'm not talking about current employees. I'm talking about employees who'd been there, and I think the number was 30 years, and they received, it's either their supplement when they've retired for every year that they live after retirement.
They get a supplement. It is not full insurance. It's a supplement. Just like you would go out if you're on Medicare and buy a supplement. They get the same thing.
And I'm telling you, as I did back then, that corporations have stopped that practice because of the cost. And I did an analysis that showed it was going to cost us $2 million in 20 years to pay for the upcoming. We may have 2 now, but the analysis showed we were going to have 18 or something more. And those limited employees were going to cost the county $2 million to pay for that Medicare supplement. And again, did y'all go out to any other insurance companies? Why is TAC so special?
You're eating up my time. You can run any analysis you want to. Like I say, I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree with the program, but I didn't start the program.
But you voted for it.
But, a supplement, those of y'all that's on supplements, you know about what they cost. And that's all it is a supplement. It's not full-fledged insurance.
I have Medicare, and I buy my own supplement.
It's one of those.
And that's why, because my company said it was too expensive to fund me for the rest of my life, that I should have to go out and pay for my own supplement.
Well, what I've seen some supplement policies. I sit on the board of directors of the Hale County Appraisal District. I'm actually the chairman of that board. We pay a supplement for a few of the employees, 2 or 3, but I think there's 10 in that whole office. We got 2 that are 65 and over and on Medicare. They take them off their insurance and put them on a supplement plan, which is similar to what the county pays. it cost the appraisal district less than $300. And I think where you're getting some of your numbers may be from what a full policy would be, and good Lord, who knows what that is anymore. I've heard from $1,200 all the way to $3,500, just depending on what you want. Supplements are generally a whole lot cheaper. We've had employees retire that had 28, 29 years and walked away. We had one that had been drawing the retirement insurance. She'd been there 28 years. She was on it. She went and got another job. That job had insurance. She dropped ours. She'll never be able to come back on it. I hope that explains some. Like I say, some of these questions, it takes a whole lot longer than 5 minutes to explain. And you got to take a look at it.
Okay, we have another question here. Yes.
Public servants, I would like to know, I think a lot of us know that there's a big company coming in Hale County, a tech company, and I would like to know your stance on commissioners or public servants signing NDAs. Like, what's your stance on it when it especially is going to down the road impact us taxpayers?
I think that question is given to anybody that's willing to offer an answer. Okay. All right. Say the question again. There's a company.
What I would like to know is the current commissioners, or even incoming potential, I would like to know your stance on signing NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, with companies coming in to do business that is going to impact us taxpayers. Do you think it's okay to sign NDAs or do you think that your constituents should know what's going on because it's going to impact us, or do you believe a level of secrecy? Or I feel it should be transparent, but I would just like to know your stance.
Okay. Okay.
I'm assuming your question is based on the data center that's going in over at Abernathy. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. Okay. Yes, we signed a non-disclosure agreement, but it was only to not disclose the owner of the company, or the owner of the business coming in did not want their name put out there yet. And so that's all that we have signed a non-disclosure for. And to my understanding, Benny, maybe my memory, we haven't signed a non-disclosure on, I mean, we will occasionally, but it's nothing, it's just small stuff. You know, and of course, when you get into personal type stuff, employees and stuff like that, we don't sign anything, but we keep all that disclosed. But for what you're talking about, I'm assuming, is the data center, and the only thing that's been that we don't disclose the other company name. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Right. Well, Benny will tell you too, we make a lot of decisions based on legal advice from our county attorney, Jim, and he does a very good job. And rest assured that we will not sign anything that is not right in his eyes. But Anyway, that's all that I cover at Benny.
Most of those requests go straight to the county attorney's office. He's our legal authority. It goes to him for review. Then he presents it to the commissioner's court. Like Jerry said, the one on the data center, we still have very little information on that. Very little. I can't tell you who the owner is because I don't know. They already bought the land. They have already started construction. They're asking for a tax abatement. We kind of got them over the barrel because they've already started. Now, we did sign that non-disclosure agreement, but, you know, everybody pretty well already knew what was going on. Now, it was like a month later, we had another company come. It was a law firm out of Austin, had sent Jim Tyree a letter. They were asking for the same thing. All we had was code name Whiteside. That was the only information we were given. Now, a lot of these companies are looking for land, and they don't want their competitors knowing they're looking for land. Most of them have already selected the site or in the process of selecting the site. They don't want their competitor to find out and try to come in and undercut them. Some of it is proprietary information. I don't know if that data center's got certain supercomputer that's going to be in it. I have no idea, and I really don't care. Because they're talking like 165 jobs is what we were told. That's about the only thing we were told. I want jobs for Hale County. We need jobs because agriculture is on nosedive because of water. I can see it every day. Yeah. You know, what I understood was that the people that bought the land didn't do their due diligence. They bought the land being told there was water under it. Now, I could have told them, and probably 90% of the people in there could have told them they're barely drinking water there. So they're scrambling with the city of Abernathy to secure water from the city of Abernathy. They've changed what I understood from the last meeting we had, they've changed and most data centers are changing to a closed loop system. The water goes into the system and just circulates and circulates. We've got the same system at our courthouse. It's a boiler and chiller system. That water never leaves that system unless we have to flush it. So your water consumption is greatly reduced. Now, what City of Abernathy does for water, that's between them. We have no dog in that fight. Because I'll tell you, most of their water's coming from Petersburg area. Petersburg ought to be the one that's in the fight. Because nearly every city well that Abernathy has is within 5 or 6 miles of Abernathy, or Petersburg. You know, well, I mean, that's part of your question was about water, you know. And, you know, I can't tell you what the bill is. Maybe John can.
Can I step in?
Yeah.
So back in 2024, the state changed the local government code to where housing developments out in the county, anything under 10 acres had to do a groundwater availability study to prove how much groundwater was on a piece of property to support a development. So if you go outside the city limits and you develop 1 acre tracts over a section of land and you get 600 homes out there, you have to prove that there's enough water for that. There's actually state legislation right now, whether or not it'll pass, because all these data centers have a bunch of money. There is legislature being presented that any of these type of massive infrastructure projects, such as a large-scale data center, have to do the exact same thing before they can ever break ground. If that passes, that's going to be a major benefit for all of the rural communities, because it's going to prove that there ain't no water anywhere.
Thank you, Justin. All right, one more question, and then we'll extend this as far as y'all want to go, okay? So, two questions.
My question is to the commissioner candidates, all of them here. I have been very frustrated lately in the last many months, and I go to the courthouse and I have to enter the dadgum basement. I want to walk in the front door of my courthouse. So my question is our courthouse wore out? Do we need a new one? What do you think? Pretty simple answer. Pretty simple question. That same question came up budget this past year. And
It's my understanding that we are in the process of trying to get that remedy. Nobody likes going in at the basement. And we're doing our best, and probably, I can't tell you when it's going to happen because things just...
What's the issue with the front door?
Well, the steps going up from the parking lot on the south side are cracked up. If you get up underneath it, they're cracked and everything, and we just thought it would be in the better interest of the county just to shut that off. That way we wouldn't have somebody, that would fall through or anything like that. And that part's working on getting remedied also. That's an old courthouse, and it needs a little TLC. So, and we're in the process of that, but it does take money. So.
All right, we have another question over here.
My main questions were really for Mr. King, but since he didn't show up, I'll ask John, would you like to answer a couple of questions for me? He makes some accusations in his ads that you're getting this dark money from the big city interests. To me, I'd like to have your opinion as to why he's doing that, but I will also give you a little bit of mine. One of the things that I notice about many Democrat practices, and I'll say it that way, and not that Republicans don't do it too sometimes, but they tend to accuse others of what they're doing. What are your thoughts?
I will say this, and this goes back to the grounding. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. If you go look at my January filings, you'll see a very minuscule raising of money from many people in this room and others that was very grassroots oriented. I really didn't think I had enough money to send one flyer, a few text messages, and buy a few signs at the beginning of January. Someone found favor with me and decided that they would throw a few dollars at me. And then they took a poll, and that poll showed that I had gained significant ground Now, I've put 35,000 miles on my pickup. I've shook a lot of hands. I've met a lot of people. I was at Andrews at the chamber banquet. I filled both pockets up with my push cards. I worked that crowd up and down until they were all gone. Ken King spoke to 4 couples and sat at the most prominent table of the room. That is not a representative that is engaging with his constituents. I actually approached Ken King at that meeting. He would not acknowledge me and kept on trucking. We have a representative, but he is not representing us.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take time for one more question. And do you have it?
Earlier, there was a gentleman that asked you a question, Mr. Browning. Well, actually, he asked everybody, but I didn't expect the commissioners to answer it because it's not something they could do about it. And everybody applaud. It's actually the uprising of the Muslims in this country. They are a threat to this country. And I get so frustrated because nobody does anything about it. We don't hear what we're doing about the threat that they're causing. Everywhere they have gone in history, they have gone to Christian countries and turned them into Muslim countries. And you, if you're elected as our state representative, you are going to be creating and passing laws. And you had the opportunity to answer that question tonight, and you didn't answer that. So
I'd be happy to answer that. So I want to look at the 10 Commandments to start with. The first commandment says, "Thou shalt have no other God before me." When we get into our school systems and we start saying we need separation of church and state, I tell this to people all the time, that is atheism. When we get into separation of church and state and we get in science class, we have Darwinism. That's a religion. When we get into social studies, we have the LGBTQ indoctrination, if you will. That's a religion. It's putting yourself before, making yourself into a god. You're saying that what's in the scripture is not relevant. You see, God created us in his image, and we've got people and things that are trying to be changed. The big push on bringing the Bible back into schools, the big rub is, well, we don't want the Muslims coming in. Wiley ISD just this week brought in the Quran and pushed out the scripture. And the principal hid behind whatever she was hiding behind. So how we fix this is freedom. Okay? So they're going and they're trying to create these neighborhoods, if you will, but they don't let everyone in. It's only for them. You see, freedom of religion is not free if you can't walk into that Muslim mosque with your Bible and pray to your God. You see, that's a cult. And so if we're going to have freedom of religion, we have to have open freedom of religion. And if it's a cult, we should be against it. If you can't live in a Muslim neighborhood and they don't feel like they can live in your neighborhood and they just have to group up, that's not freedom. We've got to set out and say, is this a cult or is this a free country? We must have a free country, and we must have rules, just like an HOA has rules. It should not be a rule where it neglects us. They should come to assimilate not to segregate. Sure. So the first thing that I'm going to do is educate myself about what we can do. I am a novice. I have never run for public office before. And there's a lot of things that I do not know. One thing I do know is that I have a Rolodex, and I have met many, many conservative organizations that are researching this right now to see what we can do immediately. It starts with the immigration laws. We have to start with the immigration laws. If they are criminals, if they are rioting, if they are going to these places and doing things that are inconsistent with our values and causing havoc, they've got to go. Before, if I'm elected on March 3rd, I will be shaking hands with our fellow representatives. Sure, yes, absolutely. So there are several conservative groups that are out there that help legislators write conservative legislations. Those groups have multiple attorneys within them, one of which is the Texas Public Policy Foundation, which is one of the most conservative groups in Austin. 1 block from the Capitol, Ken King has never been in their offices. Not once. I asked that question. Conservative representatives need to be associating with conservative groups that can do conservative things for the benefit of the conservatives that are electing them. And we've got to start relying on those and associating with those people. It starts, though, with a willpower to do it. And right now we have a representative that doesn't have any willpower to go do that.
All right, I've got, okay, it's 10 minutes to 8. You want to keep going? Okay. This is for you guys, so I'll go here first, we'll come back there, okay?
Well, this question won't take long. This is to Mr. Browning. Very simple. Should be a very simple answer. Do you know Beto O'Rourke? Do you support Beto O'Rourke? Or does Beto O'Rourke support you?
By a vowel?
I'm going to go back to the young lady's question over here about what you would do as Representative Browning regarding the situation involving the Muslim religion. I would suggest that the problem is that, and by the way, I respect your answer. I thought it was a good answer, that, you know, a humble answer. You don't know everything you knew. You're going to research it. It sounds like you know where you're going to go. So I respect that answer. But to me, it suggests that the problem really lies within the fact that these groups, these communities of Muslims that want to live together and practice Sharia law, that seems to me the problem is they want to practice a form of law that's outside of our Constitution. That's where I think the problem lies. So if we can deal with it in that way, then we're not really discriminating against them, to my way of thinking.
trading the truth for a lie. And that's the end of that Beto O'Rourke discussion. But the person that I'm running against has proved to me over and over again. And I told him he's not going to be my enemy. And I'm going to keep praying for him. But he is evil. He is an evil man. People don't do that. People don't do that. That is evil.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Oh, that's right. Sorry, right by.
Mr. Post, this one's just for you. I just have a simple question. Who are our precinct chairmen? I would like to know who's representing the county as precinct chairman. So,
Precinct chairs are Lawrence Berg, can never say his last name right. Burge. Fred Bledsoe. Kimmett Bellows, who was out of town right now, and Orlando Morales. And Fonnie Carthel. I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew there was 5. So, if you ask me what precincts they're representing right now, I cannot remember. Because they just came in. Say again? Because we have put in a request with our administrator to take it down. Be advised that that is a private website. It's owned by the HCRP, Hale County Republican Party. We have the authority and the right to put on there or take off of there, which we choose. We try to keep it up to date. Like any other website, it's hard to do, but we do keep it up to date as best we can. So, does that answer your question?
So it doesn't matter if you have false information.
Say again?
It doesn't matter if you have false information or misleading.
We don't put anything up there that we consider to be false. We research it. It only goes up there if it's based on fact. And it can be proven. And like I just said, we have put in a request for the precinct, for the administrator to take it down. Again, like any other website, it takes time. And like I said, Benny, it is a private messaging board owned by the Hale County Republican Party. And if they can put it up or take it down, anything that they want, okay? No, don't even go there. So, anyway, all right. Oh, we got.
This is really not a question. It's just to reiterate what was spoken back here about the invasion of the Muslim population. I think we need to take to heart what our very own Secretary of State said when he went to Europe and warned them about the invasion of the Muslim population, and said over and over, Sharia law is completely incompatible with our country. And if it's important enough for him to go to Europe and warn them, and they gave him a standing ovation, Lord help us, we need to really be on our toes and get the word out. We do not need, Texas needs to lead in this. Even some friends of mine in Florida ask, what's Texas doing? They look to us. And so we've got to be strong, and we've got to acquaint ourselves and be awake and fight against this.
There is, and we'll get to the other question here. Yes, he is. And I'm just going to make one point. The questions that are being asked, how many voted yet? Okay. The ones that have voted should know. The ones that haven't yet, there are 10 propositions on that ballot. One dealing with water, which was being discussed tonight, the buying and selling of volumes of water to other areas and agencies. And the other is a start point for abandoning Sharia law, not allowing it to happen. Now, what the Muslims are doing, or Islam is doing, is they are using our laws against us. So one start point on the ballot, not having Sharia law is the start point to be able to start doing what we need to do. So.
But it's so important to get everybody that we know out there to vote, because that is so important.
We do have a list for you to take of the propositions, if you guys want to take them to family and friends, so that they know what's on the ballot.
I have a question for Vicki Milner. You were the only commissioner who did any research at all on the common practices of other counties in the area as far as retiree insurance. You spent hours and hours creating a report showing, I believe, that it was not a common practice. I'll let you extrapolate on that. And you were the only commissioner who voted against it. Can you tell us why it's so important to you that you went to all that effort and trouble and voted no on the huge expense?
Because it's taxpayer money. People in our community do not have insurance. There's several that are supplements. They don't have supplement insurance either. Why would I want to expect our county to pay for insurance when there's people that are paying for that don't have insurance for themselves? And it's concerning that it could break the county at some point in time. So I have a very strong feeling about it, that we need to take care of our taxpayers and understand what that was, because Benny was not in office when it happened. It was voted in 2019, and it took effect 2020 is when it took effect. And I took the time to research other counties and was told no, they were not doing that. That was not their practice, and they had to stop. I know Littlefield said they were barely hanging on to pay insurance for their current employees. So it was something that caught me by surprise when I learned about it. And that's why I did so much research.
Okay, do we have any other questions? No? Okay. Folks, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming this evening. And it really was, I think, the questions and the audience involvement was better than I expected, okay? Maybe you didn't get the answer you were looking for, maybe you did, but it was a great way to have the forum and be able to address your questions that are pent up most of the time because we don't get to see people. Anyway, again, thank you for coming. I'm going to ask Gary House, if he would, to close us out with a word of prayer.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this evening. Thank you for the questions that were asked. Thank you for the answers that were provided. Thank you for the hearts here that I believe, oh Lord, are trying to serve you in their roles, whatever that role may be. I pray for that we be a united community. I pray that we stand together and we always stand for you because you always stand for us. Help us, O Lord, on the things that we do not know the answers to turn to you for the wisdom and the knowledge to know how to act. I pray that you give us that guidance. Help us all part as friends help us all part as united in community, united in purpose, and united under you. In the precious name of Jesus, I pray.